Right, good morning ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of Cabinet of Staffordshire County Council today, Wednesday the 17th of May. Item number 1 on the agenda is apologies. Mr Bradbury, do we have any apologies?
Good morning, Leader. Just the one apology this morning from Councillor Jessel.
Thank you. Item number 2, declarations of interest in accordance with Standing Order 16. Are there any declarations of interest? For the record, nobody is indicating. Item number 3, decision notices of the meeting held on the 19th of April 2023. Is it your wish I sign those off as a correct record of that meeting? That is so moved. Item number 4, the Leaders' Update. Ladies and gentlemen, wasn't it fantastic to see people, businesses and organisations all over Staffordshire coming together to celebrate the King's coronation? From flags and bunting to street parties, events and more, there was community spirit and patriotism in abundance. Our libraries marked the occasion with a giveaway of commemorative bookmarks and wildflower seeds. And we will be giving the parents of every baby born in Staffordshire on the 6th of May a commemorative mug, inviting them to a special event here in the county buildings next month. And I think that was a particularly lovely touch. I saw it on the BBC News. It's caught national attention. What an absolutely delightful thing to do. And I don't know, Councillor Wilson, whose idea that was, but whoever's it was. Pardon? Okay, it was a member of our comms team called Emma Roberts. So to Emma Roberts, thank you very much indeed for that idea. It was lovely. Those festivities followed hot on the heels of another outstanding Staffordshire Day on Monday the 1st of May. This is the annual celebration of our wonderful county, and every year more businesses and communities are taking part. This year we shared a specially crafted oatcake recipe from Michelin star chef at Luna, Niall Keating. There were film competitions, young people's art competitions and a packed programme of events at Staffordshire attractions. And we also launched a new quality of life campaign from We Are Staffordshire to help promote our beautiful, welcoming and rewarding county beyond our borders. If you haven't seen the videos, please go to the We Are Staffordshire website and take a look. They are stunning. And please, Cabinet members, Cabinet colleagues and officers, please take a look at them. It captures Staffordshire so beautifully, and they're quite emotional videos, really. And now we are firmly in the middle of spring. The natural beauty of our county is in full bloom. Springtime is better weather, so it allows our highways crews to get out and fix our roads, which take a battering during the winter, and this winter it's been exceptional. We hear people's frustrations with the condition of the highways, and that's why we're spending an extra £5 million on our annual spring blitz to fill in more potholes. As part of the extra £30 million we will spend on our highways this year and next to repair and resurface and clean more drains. It is a big challenge with rising costs and huge road network, but it's one of our top priorities, and it's just worth bearing in mind how much we actually budget each year for highways, which is getting on towards £80 million per year, £80 million per year. And the additional investment which takes it up to that number is very, very welcome. And thank you to Councillor Parry and his team for identifying the resources to make that happen. Another priority is creating the right conditions for Staffordshire's economy to grow and create more jobs for our people. This includes investing in transport and sites such as Chatterley Valley in Newcastle, in skills and training and support programs for businesses large, small and start-up. It also includes promoting Staffordshire beyond our borders to investors, developers, skilled employees and students. So this week we've joined forces with our district and borough councils to showcase the county at the UK Real Estate Investment and Infrastructure Forum in Leeds. It's the biggest shop window in the UK where places and investors come together to discuss and explore opportunities, and we will be flying the We Are Staffordshire flag loud and proud. And I was there yesterday in Leeds, and I've got to say it is a first-class event. 10,000 people there with land, money, opportunities, limitless opportunities, and we are working extremely hard to attract some of those into Staffordshire. And I thank the We Are Staffordshire team for all they're doing, creating a fantastic display of Staffordshire's assets with what I have to say, and I would say this, wouldn't I, the best local authority stand at that exhibition. This week also marked the start of Fostering Fortnight, a chance to promote the vital impact our carers make in the lives of some of our most vulnerable children and young people. With more than 1,300 children in care, there is an urgent need for more people to come forward. If you join our fostering family, we'll provide you with the training support you need so you can concentrate on caring for our children. I had the privilege of going to meet foster carers at an event in Shugborough Hall probably about 8 years ago. And I was really bowled over by the work that they do and the commitment that they make. And Councillor Sutton, I know that you're in contact with them regularly. Your view on the foster families, for whom we're extremely grateful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Leader. Our foster carers across the whole of the county, as you said, provide do an absolute tremendous job. They, not only do they take the opportunity to look after some of our most vulnerable children, but they all say what absolute satisfaction they get out of it. So I'd echo your words about people out there who think they might be interested to get in touch, take an interest, and will be fully supported by groups of existing foster carers, by our staff, and the whole system. And very shortly, towards the end of June, we will have a celebration of foster carers here in this room to celebrate with them some of those wonderful successes.
Well done there, Councillor Sutton, because you didn't know I was going to bring you in there, and you did exactly what I wanted you to, which was highlight the fact that we've got the foster carers in at the end of the month. So, great minds. Moving on, though, we are also working hard to improve support for children with special educational needs and disabilities. In Staffordshire, 21,000 children currently require special educational needs support or have an education, health and care plan, an increase of 29% in 5 years. Over the last 12 months, we've been talking to parents and carers, schools and professionals to how we might provide the right support in the right place at the right time. And this week, we are launching a consultation inviting people to join face-to-face sessions or feedback online. Please see our website for details. And finally from me, type 2 diabetes affects thousands of people across Staffordshire, significantly reducing their quality of life. But simple steps to eat healthier and exercise more can reduce your risk of developing it and improve your quality of life after being diagnosed. We will be stepping up our publicity to tie in with Diabetes Prevention Week starting on Monday to encourage more people to help themselves and live fuller lives for longer. I know Councillor Northcott, who has the public health portfolio, is particularly knowledgeable and passionate about this subject, and so please be aware that we are promoting this next week. And now on to our next report, which is the minutes of the meeting of the Property Subcommittee held on the 3rd of May. Everybody content that they're... Thank you. And then agenda item number 6, Staffordshire Means Back to Business oral update brought to you by the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Economy and Skills. Now, you all know that the Leader sometimes steals a little bit of the Deputy Leader's thunder on this. And so the Deputy Leader, if I've done so again, I sort of apologise. But anyway, over to you.
Yes, so I was frantically putting lines through things as you were giving your leaders update. So I'll try and provide a few things of interest, so nonetheless. It is nice to be sitting here in the midst of I'm not going to call it a mini heat wave, but a few days of dry and warm weather, and it is a reminder that we're very much now into the time of year when people start to think about getting out and about and enjoying the many leisure opportunities that Staffordshire has to offer. And I'll come back to that in a moment. But first, I always like to provide an update on the claimant count figures for Staffordshire, and the last month saw an increase in the number of claimants of 545, which means that the total number of claimants in Staffordshire now stands at around 3% of our working age population. That continues to be one of the lowest figures in the West Midlands and lower than the national average, which is 3.9%. And it's worth reminding people that we live in a period of historic low unemployment. But nonetheless, we are concerned to follow those trends and where we can to take steps to address them. Within that, the youth claimant count in Staffordshire has risen by 60 claimants and now stands at 4.6% of the 4.7% of the working population. which again is below the national average and far below the regional rate. These increases are at a time when businesses are facing increased pressures on costs, and we are seeing businesses delaying recruitment as a result of that, and that's particularly impacting in areas where younger people might come into the jobs market. Having said that, demand for labour in Staffordshire still remains very high, and we have several thousand more vacancies within the county than we do people claiming universal credit. So one of the strong focuses of this council is the careers and jobs brokerage service, which I have outlined to Cabinet previously, which crucially matches up local employers with local job seekers and with skills packages. So a lot of those many thousands of jobs that we have available in the county require some skills, and the thing that Staffordshire County Council is working very hard to do with a team of jobs brokers that you can access quite easily is to match people up so that the people we have looking for jobs can go to the many jobs that are there. And I'm pleased to say that that service, which has been operational for only a relatively short period of time, has had 7,000 visitors already to its website, and is already actively engaged in helping people to match themselves up with those jobs and skills packages, which I will report back to in detail to Cabinet in due course. But back to the visitor economy, which is one of those key areas of employment. It supports around 33,000 jobs in Staffordshire and contributes an astonishing £1.87 billion to our economy. We have some of the best attractions in the country, including Alton Towers, Drayton Manor, natural assets such as a third of the Peak District, Cannock Chase, the smallest area of outstanding natural beauty, get my teeth in the UK, and an absolute gem. Cannock Chase, the National Forest, and some wonderful towns to visit, such as Stone and Lichfield, two that immediately spring to mind. The city of Lichfield, of course. Leader will poke me in the ribs if I don't say that. We're awash with those assets, and that's been recognised by us as a county council. So we've recently led the development of a new visitor economy strategy for Staffordshire, focusing on the needs of our sector, particularly in terms of skills and in terms of improving the accommodation offer in Staffordshire to get more people to come and stay here as well as visiting. And that's also been recognised nationally. So the government, after many years of a dispersed effort across many government departments for tourism, has an increasing focus on this, and they're in the process of pulling together I think you could describe it as an A-list of areas of the country that they want to work with to develop what they call destination management partnerships. So local tourist efforts effectively. And I'm pleased to say that Staffordshire is in the final stages of discussions with Visit England to look at becoming one of their local visitor economy partnerships. So those are funded organisations, central government funding, to develop the tourism and visitor economy more in a particular area. We have a day with them tomorrow so that they can gather the views of partners locally. That's operators of attractions, other businesses who operate within the sector, local authorities such as ours, and other interested parties. And we very much look forward to a happy outcome to that in due course. The leader stole my thunder a little bit on Staffordshire Day, but I am very pleased that we successfully delivered the 8th Staffordshire Day at the beginning of the month. And the theme this year was sustainability, and to celebrate the ways that the Staffordshire economy and the visitor economy in particular contribute towards living in a sustainable world and in our green and pleasant land in Staffordshire. That's something that you can see all around us. There were wonderful events, including a food festival at Trentham Gardens, a family fun day at the National Memorial Arboretum, and a plant hunters fair at Weston Park featuring plants from all around the world. It's great to see local businesses engaging with Staffordshire Day and the people that it brings into our county, and that's a really great springboard as we head into summer, particularly in a year such as this one where people are still watching their wallets. in a county where we're able to offer a lower cost in terms of accessing visitor attractions all across the county, accessible to around about a quarter of the population of the country within an hour's drive, something for everyone here in Staffordshire. The final thing I'll mention is that we've recently launched our Place to Thrive campaign as part of the We Are Staffordshire programme of promoting the county, which focuses on these areas, on the quality of life here in Staffordshire, and the offer that we have to people to live here in a sustainable, low cost and high quality way. So I'd encourage everybody to take a look at that. With that, I'll hand back over to you, Leader, having avoided all of the crossed out bits of my report.
Apologies, Deputy Leader. Right, thank you very much indeed for the update. Agenda item number 7 is the Household Waste Recycling Centres consultation feedback, policy changes, reuse and household waste recycling centre network improvements to date. Councillor Tagg, that's quite a mouthful. And it's a big report, so there's been a lot going on that, and I know you've been working extremely hard on this particular issue. So back to you.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, and the recommendation is quite a meaty one, which I'll come on to at the end. I think, everybody's aware, obviously, that the County Council brought back in-house its household waste recycling sites over a year ago. Now we just celebrated a year back in county control, and I think some of the achievements on the sites are there for everybody to see. Some of the improvements that have taken place, and there's a plan to take even more improvements through, because the priority for our 14 household waste recycling sites across the county is to serve the residents of Staffordshire and Newcastle, and over 1.6 million visits per year across the entire county to those sites, which shows how valued they are for people to dispose of their recycled material, which we can then recycle through to often for reuse, which is a key part of our climate change and carbon reduction agenda. So we want to improve it even further. So a consultation was carried out relating to changes to the trade use and of bulky waste at our sites, and this will help to curb queues and also make obviously the service better for our residents, so that they can, when they use the sites, they don't have to queue. So a public consultation took place, and that was to require Staffordshire residents with vans or trailers to apply for a permit, and this will allow them to make 12 visits per year. And that Staffordshire residents with cars will be able to use those sites free without any need for a permit, as they do at the moment. We're committed to providing an efficient site network for residents, and these changes will help address issues that we have experienced with queuing on the sites, particularly because of trade waste vehicles taking space and considerable time to offload their waste. And we've listened to what people have said in the consultation, and they believe, as we believe, that a permit for residents for vans and trailers will be the best way forward, and also restricting the trade waste to Staffordshire-only businesses, because some of our sites are open to business trade use from outside of the county, which of course is a waste that's not generated in the county, has to be recycled at a cost here in the county and contributes to our obviously our waste figures. So there'll be no change to Staffordshire residents disposing by car, as I say, and that's a really key point to make for people, because I think most people, when they load their car up, whether it's at the weekend or whenever, and go and obviously take their waste to one of our sites, they will see no change whatsoever. It is only those residents that require to use the sites more and are using vans will have to apply for a permit online and free. Very easy for them to do that. And I think that's a key message to point out on this. I think, Chair, what we want to do with these sites is to make them the best they possibly can be. I think by taking them in-house, by some of the improvements we've already made to the sites, particularly in the Lichfield site, for example, which is now a much better site to navigate and to use user-friendly. There are other sites, for example, the site in my part of the world, we're looking at ways of improving that one as well, which is the Leasit site, which has been a bane for residents on access issues. We're looking at those and possibly looking at a new site as a way of relieving those. I think residents can be clear that these sites are free for them to use. Businesses in Staffordshire, There's going to be a process for them to still use these sites to get rid of trade waste. But the clear message is that those outside of the county will not be able to use these sites in future. What we intend to do is to bring this in a phased approach. So we do take on board, fears of fly tipping. I think they're unfounded fears as well, because whenever changes are made to any of issues, whether it's waste collections, whether it's recycling sites, there's always the fear that there will be fly tipping, but fears have proven to be unfounded in the past. I can remember when garden waste collections were brought in, when it was you had to pay for garden waste collections. The fear that fly tipping would increase were unfounded. The County Council many years ago brought in charges for bags of rubble and waste such as that. There was fears of fly tipping them, those were unfounded. But we do take on board, particularly the public consultation, the fear of that, and also some of our districts and boroughs' fear of that. So we have committed to work with them. If there are any cases of fly tipping that result from this, that we will work with them to make sure that is cleaned up. So I think, Chair, I'll leave it there because I know probably members would like to put their comments in on this, but I think it's a really good report. I think it's got the backing of the people that use the sites. We did the consultation deliberately over a period when it was maximum used by the people of Staffordshire. And also we had an online version of that, and it was residents that were telling us what they wanted out of this. And clearly they want sites that are accessible, clean, and also they don't have to queue. So I will leave it there and ask for any questions and comments and then read the recommendations at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. Under your stewardship, the household waste recycling sites I've been to have improved dramatically, and that's absolutely outstanding. I do want to just draw people's attention to the component of the report which actually goes into detail about fly tipping. Whilst Councillor Tagg has talked about fly tipping, there is details in the report about our analysis of people's concerns about fly tipping, and people should read this because their knee-jerk reaction is to say there will be more fly tipping. I've done a stint as a portfolio holder for operational services for 4 years, and when I made changes to the waste collection system there, people said, you're going to get fly tipping. It didn't happen. You have addressed people's concerns head on with that. I think the other thing that people are often concerned about with changes that we have in mind is that when we do consultations, we often stand accused of, you're only doing the consultation now because you know you'll get fewer responses and that'll make sure that you'll get the answer that you want. In this case, that isn't so. We've made sure that we've gone out to consultation and done so broadly and at the time when most people are using the sites. So the consultation is meaningful. The concerns about fly tipping are clearly addressed, and the improvements that you're proposing, in my opinion, and I would say this, wouldn't I, are absolutely the right ones we want to be moving towards. Councillor DeVille.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Tagg. An excellent report. Thanks also to the Deputy Leader for his usual upbeat report on Staffordshire, all things Staffordshire. My small business in the Staffordshire Moorlands contributes in a small way to those visitor numbers. It also, Simon, provides an excellent platform for opinion and consultation. And my customers are very quick to let us know if things are not particularly working well. But only last night, Councillor Tagg, I had people in who'd visited the local depot in Cheadle. And their exact words were that it was an excellent experience. So much better than it was 2 years ago. So bringing the operation in-house has clearly given us greater control, greater focus on customer service. And my customers last night said that it was totally seamless and the staff at the centre were most helpful. So a very, very positive report, and I think the decision to bring this service back in-house was the right one.
A danger of slightly over-egging the pudding there, I think, Councillor DeVille. People might be going there for family picnics at this rate. Councillor Parry.
I don't think it is actually over-egging it, because I live equidistant between, I think, 4 sites, so I have a choice of 4, and I do use them depending which one's open if I need to use one. And the transformation since it's been taken back in-house is very noticeable, to the point where I am now taking sandwiches and a flask of tea and spending a bit more time there because it's such a pleasant environment. Yeah. Joking apart, a really, really good job. This report is obviously long overdue. It's something which has aggrieved people for a while, and it's great that we now have that control, if you like, to be able to decide for ourselves how we do it. I've got a couple of questions, if I may, just for clarification mainly. What's the definition of trade waste? Because I think that's key, isn't it? Is it any waste that's generated by a commercial operation, or is there a difference between trade waste and industrial waste, for example? And there are likely to be loopholes in this. I can almost see a kind of black market for the permits if you need to use more than 12 or whatever, and the possibility of abuse of school kind of waivers or charities or that sort of thing. And I think all commercial activity, whatever it is, whether it is a church or a charity or a school or whatever, perhaps should be treated in the same way. I don't know. It's just kind of making sure this is fair and is deliverable. You can enforce it in that sense. I think that's what people want. And I'm not quite sure what the capacity is like outside of our centres for people to dispose of commercial waste in private sites, for example, and what that capacity looks like, and whether actually we can signpost people to use that more often. They're not even listening to me, but great. A great day out, by the way.
Councillor Tagg, would you like to just come back and answer those and see if there's any?
Yeah, I think the trade waste issue is, again, if a trader comes in a car and puts some waste in, you're not really going to know about that, are you? But of course, the definition of trade waste is anything that's created through a business activity. So that will be, and we're looking at these. Members will have been to the sites in the past. They'll have seen them large vans there with, going down on their axles and wheels half deflated because of they're packed out with materials which are clearly business related and clearly a lot of the time out of Staffordshire. So this will crack down on those. I think on that sort of permit, the application process, the CCTV we've got on sites now, and the registration numbers, etc., and the database of Staffordshire properties, which is all going to be linked to. I think we can say that we can make sure the system is as foolproof as possible, really, to ensure that we don't get any flagrant misuse of it. I think that's key to it. And I think, but overall, I think when it comes to these sites, when you say you go for a picnic and what have you, I think what we want people to go for also is not only to put their waste in there and play a part in recycling, which is what they're doing, isn't it? It's stuff you cannot recycle on your doorstep, you're taking to there, but also the possible reuse potential. Sites that do have those reuse shops, the shops we call them, at the moment are really useful, really popular, and we want to spread those across the network as well, so that each side has a possibility for a reuse, so the stuff that is brought in there, which can obviously be reused, is taken by our staff and put into the shop for people to purchase. I think on the point of, which is a quite valid point that came up during the consultation, also came up during when we had our scrutiny committee, which has done a lot of work on this with us to ensure we've got this right, went on site visits to various sites, that those sort of parish longsmen, schools, charity groups that do a community litter pick or cut a hedge back or something like that and have a large amount of material can use those sites as long as they go and they identify who they are. They can then use those sites to get rid of those materials. So we aren't, early on, we made sure that we weren't going to penalise those and those people that are doing great works in our community, as part of our communities, whether that's helping parishes, church groups, schools, or anybody else, are going to be accommodated and catered for within this, so they can still use those sites. So it's a flexible approach, and our site managers will ensure that they can use this site, and also that will not be abused by businesses trying to get in on the act as well. So again, through CCTV, through the vigilance of our officers, and I'll just say, Chair, I think our staff, since they've come in board and in-house, have been amazing. And I think as we saw in the year celebrations, with the publicity was done, that we got a real good bunch of officers and men and ladies across the entire borough that are working on these sites. And they've responded really well to what we've done in bringing them in-house. I think, Mark pointed out the fact that we did bring them in-house. It was under his its tenureship as the commercial portfolio holder. And I think that was a really good move, and we've really built on that, I think, now through this report with a good proposal to put forward. Thank you.
The definitions are contained within the document on page 54 and 55. But the thing is, the point that Councillor Parry makes is a good one, which is that for those people arriving at the household waste recycling centres, none of them will have read the policy documents and the definitions. So people will try to get stuff in under the radar, but that requires the good officers at the gates to be able to manage that, and they are very, very good at that. Councillor White.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Just a brief comment. So I'm having the dubious pleasure at the moment having some carpet fitted in our house, in between moving furniture between rooms and then back again, I did have a conversation with the carpet fitter about what their thoughts were about this issue, and they use various waste recycling centres across 3 counties, including Staffordshire, use a number of our sites, and the couple of pertinent comments I thought were important were, firstly, they said they had noticed a real improvement around the Staffordshire sites over the last 12 months, and the key thing for them was how quickly and efficiently they could get on site, dispose of the waste that they had in their vehicle, and get off site and back to another job. As you can imagine, carpet fitters doing a number of houses a day, awful lot of carpet pulled up, awful lot of visits. And so my next question was, do you mind paying for a permit in order to do that more quickly and efficiently? Absolutely not. It's costed into our prices. The only people who mind paying are cowboys. The final point I thought he made that was interesting was he said, do you know, people really should ask the contractors that they use what they're doing with the waste. Good point. So because if you ask me that question, I can tell you exactly what happens with it. You ask that question for somebody else and they sort of say, well, you know, we dispose of it. Perhaps you need to find somebody else to do it for you. So for legitimate businesses, they will do this in the proper way. For cowboys, there's something that we all have a responsibility to look out for, and that's neither here nor there with these proposals, but the improvement in our sites is absolutely here. It's there to be seen, and it's nice to hear it from people who use it on a week-by-week basis. So all strength to your arm, Councillor Tagg, and to your excellent team who are working on those sites.
Councillor Tagg, if you could sum up and give us the recommendations.
Okay, thank you for those comments. I think, as we've said, a positive move. I think our sites will be better. I think better service to the public, and really looking to try and bring on that reuse facilities in each site, because I think that's the future as well, really. And just to point out, I think when we look at, comparing ourselves with other authorities around us, a lot of those, all of those, don't accept trade waste at all. That's just a point to make. But I think we certainly, with these measures, bring forward that residents first policy for Staffordshire residents to use these sites. So I will now move the recommendations. I recommend to Cabinet: A, note the feedback from the public consultation, which have informed the recommendations and policy changes relating to HWRC. Approve the recommended HWRC policy changes. C, to authorise the Waste and Sustainability Service to implement the HWRC policy changes and any legislative changes to make the HWRC policies. D, delegate authority to the Director of Economy, Infrastructure and Skills in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Environment, Infrastructure and Climate Change to implement a new reuse competition process to put in place an operational model that provides a service to the residents of Staffordshire County Council for implementation from April 2024. And then E, finally, note the improvements made to date on the HWRC network. And I'd like to add, if I could, an extra recommendation, an F there, is that we note our thanks for the staff who are working on these sites for the transformation over the last year, and we look forward to, obviously, further improvements in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. I very much welcome that additional recommendation, and I think a note from you to the teams with your thanks would be also welcome. You've heard the recommendations, ladies and gentlemen. All those in favour? Great. Thank you. On to agenda item number 8, Household Support Fund, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People. Councillor Sutton.
Thank you very much, Leader. This report is sort of split into 2 sections, and I will deal with the second part first. Household Support Fund has been with us for the past 2.5 years, and we've received which we've passed on to residents, a total of £27.5 million, which has mainly been spent on helping to support vulnerable residents with food, energy and water bills. And this will be the final grant that we receive this year. So the second part of the report talks about to date what the scheme has supported. And it followed on originally from some COVID grant money that we used in a similar sort of way. So we've provided support over this period of time for children eligible for benefit-related free school meals, to care leavers, households claiming means-tested benefits, households with children, households with pensioners, and the like over that period of time. So in total, during this period of time, we have made almost 150,000 individual payments to these households. And in addition to that, through the Household Support Fund, 23 homes have benefited from boiler replacements, and a further 115 homes received an installation of measures such as air source heat pumps, solar panels, insulation including underfloor, external cavity and loft insulation through the Staffordshire Warmer Homes scheme. So if I move on or move back through the report to this year's allocations and what this report and what we intend to allocate that for. So this year, I'll just work my way back through that. This year going forward, it's split into certain different areas, and the first bit is the Educational Support Fund. So it is proposed to continue to provide families of children in reception to Year 11 who are in receipt of benefit-related free school meals a £20 e-voucher per child for the summer half-term, autumn half-term and spring half-term, and also provide a £20 e-voucher for one of the 2 weeks of the winter 2023 holidays and Easter 2024, and two weeks for the 6-week summer 2023 holiday. And that actually supplements also the holiday activity and food programme, which is not part of this, but also provides activity linked to a nutritious meal for those children who are entitled to benefit-related free school meals. That area there allocates £3.7 million of the scheme. The second part is proposed targeting support fund, and that's for care leavers in the county, who all care leavers will be entitled to 4 £50 supermarket e-vouchers, and they will be administered in August and December of this year and January and March of next year. And that in comparison to the others is a modest amount of 160,000. The next part of the scheme will be where individual people and families can be referred to the scheme through professionals, and that includes counsellors can make referrals into the scheme for people who they feel would benefit. There are some conditions, and they're included in the report, but I won't go through that in particular detail. But it would amount to, on average, a support of about £115 per household, and that anticipated expenditure of that is £2.4 million. The next part is the proposed winter warmth project, along the lines of what I explained, what we've done previously, and again that will take up about £1.7 million of the scheme. Now, I mentioned earlier that this will be the last year that the government say they will allocate funding to local authorities. So we thought it was important that we included an element that helps to support families around that. So the last element of this year's funding is for financial assistance towards education and resources, and that will come in a number of different ways. So the education will include face-to-face support to budget, reducing spend and maximising income. Resources, this will include tools and resources which can be made available to people after the funding is no longer available. Community resilience, this will include a small grant available to community organisations who can facilitate activities to improve people's financial awareness, ability to budget and thinking about sustainable and cost-saving ways to manage. Supporting some family employment advisors. So we propose we fund an additional 2 advisors to work with us to help people who are accessing the fund on low income, to support them to develop their career options. And then family coaches. So within the family hubs, we have, or we will have as we go forward, 4 family coaches. These coaches will be able to deliver adult and community learning, and we propose we employ an additional 2 for a 12-month period to assist us to embed financial planning into a range of training and support, and to facilitate work with families. So that's the basis of what this money's been allocated to previously, who we have been able to support, and what we propose to do in this plan going forward for the next 12 months. I'd like to perhaps take this opportunity also to thank members of the teams that have been involved in doing this. It's quite an administrative burden, and particularly at one point over the past 2.5 years, where vouchers had to be printed off and sent out last minute, and a lot of Natasha's Moody's team, stepped up to do that, and were able to do this. And of course, all this work has been in addition to that team's usual day jobs. So a couple of things I'd like to just emphasise, and that's the ability of members to referring people that they feel are in need of financial assistance, and also the that training elements going forward, and that support for people to help them to try and do things that will help to manage budgets going forward. Thank you, Leader. Happy to obviously to take questions.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. A comprehensive run through the report there, and a number of absolutely wonderful highlights, not just the amount of money, but the number of people that are being helped as a result of this. So it's absolutely tremendous. Given the comprehensive nature of your presentation, Councillor Sutton, I don't see anybody indicating... Oh, Councillor Parry is. Thank you.
Sorry, just one very tiny point. I noticed on the e-vouchers, the locations where those could be spent seem to be town centre large supermarkets, and there were no kind of local community type stores where, because of people may not wish to travel and incur the cost of travel to go to a town centre supermarket, where local sort of convenience stores might be more accessible for them.
Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I welcome particularly the Winter Warmth Project part of these proposals, and I think it's really important, like we did last year, that we're helping people with the assistance with their fuel bills, but particularly like obviously through Beat the Cold, when they have those holistic assessments and they're looking at obviously free discounted energy efficiency measures as well, because that's a double win for us, isn't it? That is saving on bills, but also meeting climate change objectives by making those efficiency measures that hopefully will stick in people's properties for the long term and help us towards our end total of carbon neutral by 2050. Thank you.
Councillor Sutton.
Yes, in answer to Councillor Parry's issues. I absolutely get the point. Although what I would say is a couple of those supermarkets do have smaller sort of chains that are available in quite a few villages and places. I think the difficulty is the company that we've tried to work with who facilitate these. We are actually restricted by the actual supermarkets that they allow their vouchers and their shops to be used at. But having said that, there's still probably opportunity for me to discuss with officers whether this actually could be changed slightly and take up your point. And I'll happily come back to cabinet members and talk about that.
Councillor Price.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. And thanks to Councillor Sutton and obviously the officers that are behind the huge amount of work that's gone on to make sure that this had been delivered. The one area that particularly interested me and I thought was really great was the financial assistance, the education, the resources as well, because I think that's absolutely key that we support those families around managing to not only support themselves through their own budget, but as it says, reducing spend and maximising income. And that's something they can take forward for several years to come as well. So that has a double benefit as well of supporting them. So really, really welcome to see that within there. And I wanted to thank Councillor Sutton.
Thank you. Councillor Sutton, I think it just falls to you now to sum up and go through what are some fairly lengthy recommendations.
Yes, I'm sure with a little bit of better forethought I could have reduced some of these recommendations, but I will do them in a moment. Yeah, I just comment on some of the comments been made, particularly what Councillor Price just said, and did feel it was really important to have that element within the scheme. And I just very much hope, and I think I'm right in saying that over the period that this scheme has run and is running, that we have been able to support vulnerable people and people who are having challenges with keeping up with payments, both for food and for utility bills, and that element that Jonathan spoke about, I think will be crucial going forward. So the recommendations: A, Cabinet acknowledges the impact of the Household Support Fund in supporting residents in need of financial assistance. B, acknowledges the anticipated receipt of £11,013,096 from the Department of Works and Pensions in relation to the Household Support Fund. C, endorses the planned proposals for the use of the Household Support Fund in Staffordshire for the final financial year 2023-24. Delegates the authority to the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People in consultation with the Director for Families and Communities to decide the delivery and eligibility criteria for distribution of the Household Support Fund in Staffordshire, and to take all other subsequent decisions to ensure that this support gets to those who need it as quickly as possible. This includes any decisions in respect of extensions to the scheme or additional funding, ensuring Cabinet are fully briefed on any such extensions or spending. E, approves the flexibility to amend the amount of funding proposed for each scheme to ensure we can meet the demand or need due to the spend outlined being anticipated. And F, approves the extension of the current arrangements in place with Hemingway Digital Vouchers, Beat the Cold and Community Foundation for Staffordshire for a further 12 months. Thank you, Leader.
Well done. All those in favour?
Agreed.
For the record, that is unanimous. Moving on then to the forward plan of key decisions. Starting on the 21st of June, in public. Integrated Performance Outturn Report 22-23, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources and myself. Also in June, Joint Coroner's Service Legal Framework and Financial Protocol, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Communities and Culture, Councillor Wilson. Again in June, Maintenance and Minor Works Framework, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Commercial Matters. Again in June in public, Volunteering for Staffordshire County Council, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Communities and Culture, Councillor Wilson. Again in June, Community Learning Ofsted Inspection and Accountability Agreement 23-24, brought to you by the Deputy Leader and the Cabinet Member for Economy and Skills, Councillor White. Moving forward to July, in public, Living My Best Life, a strategy for disabled and neurodivergent people in Staffordshire 23-28, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, Councillor Sutton, and the Cabinet Member for Education and SEND, Councillor Price, and the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Jessler. Big and important report, and I can't believe it's 5 years since the last one that we did, but hey-ho, time flies. Again in July, Treasury Management Outturn Report 22-23, brought to you by Councillor Parry. Again in July, Integrated Performance Report, Quarter 1, 23-24, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources, Councillor Parry, and myself. And then moving forward to October, the Integrated Performance Report, Quarter 2, 23-24, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources, Councillor Parry, and myself, Councillor White. That concludes the forward plan of key decisions. Agenda item number 10, exclusion of the public. There are no items, excluded items. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this meeting. Thank you very much.